Yeah, so before we started this, I was saved by Benjamin I had the Yahoo virus really fucking bad, and every time I would have to get rid of it, I would like reset my browser and have to sign into every single fucking account I've ever made in my life. Well, apparently there's a lot easier of a way, so now I don't have the Yahoo virus. And that's
W-
that's what I have to say
We
about the Yahoo virus.
yeah, we had like a conversation on that, I think, last time that we were recording, like three
Yes.
weeks ago.
Continuity.
And then I just say, but it's like really easy to solve. You're just gonna do this. And then this time you do it. And it's like, holy shit. But yes, anyways. Hello, welcome to the Fuzzvivor podcast, the mid-season power rankings. I am Renjamin, and the guy that had the Yahoo virus is Cooper. We
Yes.
will be talking.
I showed him I had it by he mentioned some fucker named Billy. So I looked up Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg for Nintendo GameCube. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, you see the Yahoo logo? I have that."
I love how you just have like the two versions of like our hyperfixation of like I will see a Billy, and I mean like I literally saw a photo of Billy Crudup, so I was like, oh, it's Billy Crudup, but you're like, oh, it's Billy
Billy
Hatcher.
Hatcher for the Nintendo GameCube, made by Sonic Team.
Oh, I saw SpongeBob and Patrick are gonna be in Sonic.
Oh yeah, so are all four of the Ninja Turtles. Uh, Aang
Yes,
from Avatar. Uh,
yes.
the main character of Persona 5.
Me.
Hatsune Miku. Oh yeah, that is you. Uh,
Oh, I fucking love Hatsune Miku.
yeah, it's the most fuck ass lineup ever. But to be fair, the last game had Wreck-It Ralph, Heavy from
What?
Team, yeah, Heavy from Team Fortress 2, Football Manager from Football Manager, uh,
I'm searching this. Oh, Dip, he was there. I'm scared.
yeah, no, Sonic and All Stars Racing. What a fucked up franchise.
There were monkey. Oh, I love the monkey.
Super
I
Monkey
remember
Ball.
playing. I remember playing a version of Sonic Racing on my DS.
That would be Sonic and All Stars Racing, the original.
Yeah. God, but it's like it's been so long that it's such like a fever dream. Yeah, I heard about the Ninja Turtles and Aang last night. I just completely forgot, but you also heard the news, so you luckily had a better memory of it than me.
Oh, that came out weeks ago.
Oh, listen, I am so out of touch with video games these days. Like, what? Have they already announced Gen 11 for Pokemon? Maybe. I wouldn't know.
Low
Okay,
key,
actually,
I
that's the
had
one
to
I would know.
I had to think about what gen we're on. Scarlet and
Yeah, it's
Violet is
Gen.
9, right?
Oh, I mean, so
We
for
skipped
real.
10!
I thought I thought we were at Gen 10 for a second, and then I just before you said 9, I'm like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Um, this is not
Yeah,
Fuzz Vibe
we haven't fucking
discussion
started
though.
yet. Let's go.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're gonna do is run through all the pre-modules first, because we always do that, just to give them time. First up is Zane, who played last season, so we talked about him like a couple of months ago, and I guess 3 weeks ago.
Insane in the membrane.
The guy, and I remember we talked about Zane from Ninjago, and my segue was that, like, speaking of people who suffered, Zane. Because when I found out he was a robot, that was a fucked up day. So, yeah.
It was.
Uh,
Remember where you were when you found out?
oh, I
Nope.
remember, I was on the fucking playground. I
Dude.
got told that shit on the playground, and I was like, no fucking shot. I was so sad. And then my dad took me to the car dealership for some reason, and I remember, like, telling my dad, I was like, there was no way this is true. And then I found the episode, and it was true, and I was very sad about it.
It's like, father, Zane's a robot. He's like, what, son? You are ridiculous. Don't be so. No, because I genuinely, if I was a dad and I was told that by my kid, maybe it's because of the amount of media I watch, but I think I would just genuinely be like, what the fuck are you on about, kitty? Because it just feels like such a left field concept to introduce.
Yeah, and they get that shit done in like episode 6. And
Yeah,
anyway, oh,
I've never seen that.
and that was one of the trivia questions for Trivia Ban. It was what episode do they find out?
Holy, was that question read? I did not
Yes.
fully pay attention to that.
It
Yes,
yup. I forget who did it. But anyway,
two people did it.
this Zane.
Yeah,
Uh yeah, so coming into this, I thought him and Waddles would be competing for Force Boot again, and they kind of were, except Zane hardcore defended Waddles, and Waddles got revenge for Zane thinking you eat eggplant with a spoon. So that's pretty much Zane's story this season. um, I feel like we pretty much got what we got from him last season, which I find Zane very endearing, so I was happy he came back. But yeah, ultimately he did get force boot again. It's a shame, but how that played out. Do you have much to touch on with Zane? I feel like it mostly just comes down to the Waddles relationship and
yeah. Well, what he was booted about 2 days after we recorded or such, and we sort of saw like the reason of why he was going to get booted. In that moment of just he was unable to have the conversations continue on and such with
yeah,
people would just say the main thing I think was that tribe the narrative where yeah their narrative that they told people was that Zane threat Preston like 2 hours in, so everyone just
yeah,
voted Zane, but realistically it's just Zane was not the most connected to anyone. So as soon as they had a reason to vote
yeah.
Zane, everybody just said,
Zane
yeah, sure.
was gonna go home anyway, and that reason was basically just a scapegoat.
Yeah, which happens. But not much else. Simple thing is just uh remember to always thread conversations, keep the flow going. You're playing a game of ping pong,
Yeah,
I
we
think
did
we
have
try
that
to
conversation.
analogize. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's all I got. But it's got like lovely hot and soul and care. And you like I've seen that throughout the spec launches, preseason and postseason and such.
Speaking of conversations we had a conversation about this guy.
We
um,
did. Because we also thought JD would be the first boot of his tribe.
yeah, and I, the opening days, I guess the Preston boot wasn't as obvious as these two, but these two people are very much so like the obvious force boots. Um, I guess there was an out for JD where it could have been Zach. I would say it was more likely Zach than it would have been Preston at that force tribal. But ultimately, it did
Yeah.
just come down to JD. He wasn't as connected as everyone else. Um, he had people who probably could have benefited from working with him, but that's also just a thing of there's always at least one player who would benefit from working with someone, whether it be because you're on the bottom and you need other bottom feeders, whatever. He just didn't have the connections to really get him through more than a round as a game.
Yeah. So one thing I remember that I did in the season 18 trivia ban, which I am about to do right now, is JD's nuts.
I
Okay,
I think we should
that's
I think we should move on. After saying that,
yeah, it's
there's
it's
Preston.
quick thing. It's the same thing as same before as we saw that it was going to happen and it happened. I don't actually know what the proper downfall was for JD in the socialness. I think it's just was same thing as like didn't meet the quota for the tribe.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that he was on a tribe that was very high energy, and that's just not his vibe as much as it was for the others.
Who energy? It's so evil.
Yeah, fucking energy. Speaking of energy, I don't really know. It's high school
Dude, I'm
graduate Preston.
sad.
High
uh,
school graduate.
I was not expecting this.
For context for that, last time Ren was like, yeah, you thought the way he had like his hat The fucking
It was a 50-50.
high school graduate. Yeah, you're. I I forgot about that. It's so fucking funny to me. Holy shit. Anyway,
God damn it.
Preston going out this early was tragic. Super sad to see them go. Preston is like a dear friend of mine, and a lot of the reason why they went home, I would say the biggest reason was they just didn't have as much time to socialize when the rest of the tribe was because fucked up sleep schedule, and that kind of made it hard. And beyond that, just didn't click with the tribe as much. I think this is a cast that I think JD had the same problem, though Preston played better than JD, in the sense that this just wasn't really their tribe to do great on. Honestly, maybe Preston would have done better on favorites, I think they probably would have survived over JD, Zach, those people. God, it's
Just
sad.
needed to have won an immunity challenge then.
It's sad to see Preston go, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept in that way to kind of see that thing of like the possibility of how much the game could change if just make it to the next swap, which is possible, but also next swap was like a very terrifying swap.
Yep.
I'm sad for Preston gone. Um,
What is this quizzical
gotta
ass
say
look they're
something.
giving? Like the way their eyebrows are pointed up.
It's
and
it's it's a very like I'm a genius and I fully believe it because
Preston
this
has a
is this is not a
question.
high school graduate. This is a college graduate.
this person has the masters. Like,
I like it.
you
Model.
did you think of whatever it was that you were gonna say, or did it not come to you?
No, I think Preston was pushed.
Yep. Speaking of pushed, this motherfucker had the funniest downfall I've ever seen in my fucking life.
That was like, was it like 4 days on the swap tribe?
I think it was 3 days or something, but he
Um,
gets picked as the.
okay.
He instantly swaps with Waddles, and the two of them work together. But as we know from Waddles, he has this weird thing where he likes to set people up for no reason whatsoever. So he did that with
There's a
Zach.
reason Zach voted Waddles out.
Uh, ac- uh um, actually,
Oh wait,
it was a
No,
six
but
to two,
Zach targeted Waddles, but still
and
didn't
then
vote
set up Zane.
him.
Yeah, yeah, but I had to go. Actually, but anyway, uh, so Zach could have had good connections with Sachi too, but ultimately the way Zach handled when he was picked as captain and he didn't. Basically, what had to happen is all three captains had to unanimously agree and vote in their submissions on which of the three tribes goes to tribal. If they did so, the captain of the tribe that went would get immunity. So
Oh
he and the
yeah.
other two captains, Clasped and Xavier, decided, okay, let's send Zack to tribal, and you'll have immunity. So everyone voted. Clasps votes for Zack's tribe, Xavier votes for Zack's tribe, and Zack didn't read the rules and he voted for Xavier's tribe. So it wasn't unanimous because he voted Xavier's tribe. So that means it had to come to a game of chance, which they were going to play Yahtzee. High Space was very, very excited
Yahtzee.
for Yahtzee. And then Zack realized he fucked up and was like, I'm just gonna forfeit Yahtzee. And then he got voted out unanimously.
That's why you don't forfeit Yahtzee.
Yeah, at that point, just play fucking Yahtzee. It's a game of chance anyway.
Yeah. Then it could have been a whole mastermind thing of like he plays the Yahtzee and wins and reveals in the confession, yeah, I purposely didn't vote myself so I could pretend to be a fool and then win immunity for my tribe. But I think it's very much a simple circumstance of read the rules and ask as many questions as you may need to. Um, because something 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 rules,
This
something something
downfall
something
is like
questions.
the shit we could have the shit we could have saw coming last season with how messy his first episode was. Like, yeah, that a downfall like this makes sense after like his mess of a first episode where he threw a rogue vote and had the Codenames performance where he gave the iconic clue that connected Rope and Ghost.
Oh my God. Um, was that clue like suicidal
Yeah,
too?
yeah, it was.
Oh my
It shouldn't be that fucking funny, but it is.
God. Listen, we live online. This is our humor.
Yeah, if they said this on like national television, we would get weird looks. But because we're doing it online, it's like, yeah, okay.
My favorite Codenames thing will still like it will just be like follow heart 4. And like the beauty of Codenames is part of the world is created by the players playing it and their context and ways they interact with each other. So in that moment was the thing of like, for some reason, the Codemaster just decided to make us guess the last 4 as a Hail Mary. And so the code was just follow heart. So like follow what's in your heart and pick. And we actually did pretty well. And then I think we got like the last one wrong.
That's if I was in that fucking room and the spy master gives the clue follow your heart and you get 3 of them in a row, I would call shenanigans. You were up to some nefarious deeds though. There ain't no
Dude, just
fucking way.
following the heart.
I would
It's
not
because
fucking trust that thing.
no, but I think like it taps into your gut. Your gut has some of the most some of the most nonsensical logic. But that's a rant for another day. Because we keep jumping off topics and
Yeah,
such. Do we have
let's move
anything
on.
else to Zach?
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't we were talking about Sonic Oriole, the new racing game? Who did we say was
I
playable?
I know what you the creator of Minecraft.
No, 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 no. Who
Yeah,
I
no, the creator of Minecraft, Hatsune Miku.
She made Minecraft?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's news to
You
me. I
know,
didn't know
she
that.
made a cameo on Big Doggy's PFP.
She made many cameos. There's one, two, three, four, whatever the fuck is going on in the football.
I love that this Swap Tribe boot list is just the trio of chaos.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's sad because these
And
three would have been they would have been fucking cinema for the AB game. Which, by the way, the twist, it might have flopped during the swap, but with the merge, people all allying already. There has been multiple people who have allied and multiple people who have betrayed. So, oh no, fuck.
I
Tomorrow,
trust that.
tomorrow when I'm driving, um,
Can you like multitask, like drive and
no,
announce it?
I don't think I should announce the AB game results while driving. Maybe do you think it's a better would you want to do it or should I just do it like 2 hours later?
I think it's indifferent.
I Me personally, I like revealing things. So,
I think I used to, and then I got this thing where it's like um paranoia of like being incorrect or something. I have it with comps as well, where it's like I'll make a comp and I'll be so terrified that I fucked something up in like the rules or whatever. Or like someone will have to ask a question and I'm like, I don't know the answer to it. And so I just hide. And
so I
like let's not forget the trivia bit. I took my good time with it.
Oh my god,
With
no, that shit was
getting that
hard.
round.
I messed up when I did mine. The players had to walk me
Dude.
through how to do a snake draft. It was fucked up.
Oh, yeah, it was snake drafting.
And you had to
Yeah,
teach.
yeah,
You
no,
always
because
got to teach
I
me how to
didn't
do a
know it
snake
was a
draft.
snake draft.
Every
I
time
didn't
we've
know it
done
was a
this,
snake draft this time, man.
every draft we have, you teach me how a snake draft works. I always forget.
I forget how I learned about it. I think it was a Survivor draft that taught me how to do snake draft.
Yeah,
I also know Rob is a podcast does the snake
yeah, they
draft.
do. That's how I knew what a snake draft was. I just forgot. Anyway, we haven't talked about B Dog at all yet.
Chaos.
Yeah, no, B Dog was awesome. B Dog was definitely like I think B Dog, Aaron, and Waddles were all like incredible playmortals. Like these three were all like major characters. I love all three of them. Super sad to see them go when they did. But focusing specifically on B Dog, um, he was labeled as messy early on, which he was, but he wasn't that messy. And honestly, I think taking him out when he was taken out was kind of suboptimal play from the likes of Dust. I feel as though Dust should have taken a shot at Cat, because as we saw the flops keep getting decimated while the favorites congregated more power within their structure. And I think B Dog was just such a perfect shield because Dust and Yellow were doing a really good job of building him up as a threat, but a threat they could specifically hide behind, which is very valuable because how much of a threat he is contingent on how much they keep up that narrative. So they could easily build him up as more of one later on, but instead they just got rid of that work they did and booted him 4-1. So I think that was a misplay. That's just me.
I don't know. I think like he has this sort of archetype where you can kind of get him to be this continuous shield, and then when like shit hits the fan and you are in a bad situation, you're like, well, B-Dog is there, and then you throw B-Dog to the wolves very easily, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what you do at like Final 7, but shit did not hit the fan. They had an easy vote.
Oh, well, they just hate Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, don't we all?
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
they could have just done cat. I mean, the thing is, even then with the swaps of being like
Oh,
the four
fuck.
to ones, I was like, they aren't gonna vote at the one. Um,
I feel
because
like it.
it just happens. You saw it with Cool Viver, like those fuck ass swaps, and yet those people made it to the merge.
Not if I was there, that wouldn't have happened. Jericho was going
I
out.
trust that.
I. I. Not to speak like this, but I ran that fucking tribe like the Navy, okay? Jericho was going out. And I would have felt so fucking bad about it too, because I started to really like Jericho. But no, Jericho was going.
No mercy.
Are we moving on now to Waddles?
Yeah, let's move on
I'm gonna
to
fucking
my
cry.
favorite player.
I'm gonna fucking cry. Seeing he is the best writer ever made in the history of mankind, and he was so good in every single episode he was in, except that one episode he didn't say a single word in. But otherwise, Waddles is just casting gold. He is such a good writer. I don't think there was one person as quotable as he is. He is comically evil for no fucking reason. Like he's genuine. He has a couple friends who play orcs, and when talking to them, they're just like, "Yeah,
Once Canadian.
he's not this outwardly evil in real life." um,
I trust that. He reminds me of me in a way, where
I
it's
can
like
see it. I
this.
can see it.
Yeah, like I mean, even then, I would have friends that in high school I would compulsively lie, um,
It
and
happens.
it would just be this thing of like they would just not trust what I would say, or I would always be like the go-to. Like you would always think of like who's like the one person in the group that like lies the most, so you don't ever believe a thing they say or whatever, and it would be me. And I'm like, listen, it's two sides of the spectrum. It's either I'm lying my ass off or I'm telling the complete truth. You
there,
don't get the in between.
there's a difference between lying for the fun of the game and lying because you're trying to do something nefarious. I just do it because it's funny.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it can be nefarious and fun. I remember, uh, in uni last year, for an org, I wrote up this whole thing for it, and I thought, I wrote out this whole narrative for how I had an advantage. It's kind of stupid idea, but it's all about the concept of you just want to try and make people believe it as much as you possibly could. So I wrote the whole thing up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta send it to this chat because you need to send it to people, so then eventually they try and leak it to other people. And so I then went and thought, I should record this. So I had a fucking break during a class for some reason. So I run to another part of the building that's like a private hangout room area, go into like a quiet room in there, and I just monologue for the 15 minutes doing speaking the script out loud. I mess up, so I have to restart and I'm like exhausted and stuff, and like the break's over, so I have to head back and stuff. But I fucking send it, and it's like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, I just wanted to try and make the lie seem as believable as possible. You know, if you're reading this shit out and you just add in all these sort of quirks that seem human, it just will make it seem believable. Like, why the fuck is this person saying such a possible coherent story in a voice memo? Like, why would that be a lie? And I'm like, that's why. It's like you thinking too much.
I like the image of you running out of class to go read this in some random room. Someone like fucking pounds on the door and walks in, and it's like, what the fuck is going on in here? You shoo them out, and then you turn back to the camera. I mean, I guess the microphone, not the camera, and keep talking about whatever the fuck this fuck ass advantage is.
I'm taking notes. That's a fucking genius idea. I
What?
love waddles.
Yeah. So Waddles is the fucking best, dude. We love Waddles. Like that's
Waddles DM this time.
yes. He's a better player because at this time he talked to a single person. Let's fucking go. He also like
Uh,
did a good job. Like he wasn't like the top of trust rankings, but he did a good job in dealing himself to a couple of people, and those couple of people were the players on the top.
yeah. I think it's like it will be a progression of time thing for Waddles in say playing more orcs, getting with like the flow of how the sort of social pattern and construct work and how to lock in with people. And you can still be your chaotic thing. The full number one thing is you do not have to change your sort of chaotic approach if you like to do that chaotic approach. It's simple thing of just sort of getting into that pattern of the pattern of just how these things play out of like the strategy conversations with people and such and making them feel good about you and things and eventually getting I don't know, man. I see it a progression of time thing,
Yeah,
and
no, I agree.
I want to see more Waddle's chaos.
Me
But
too.
yeah, you never need to change the chaos. We've seen many chaotic players still stay chaotic and still go far.
Like this one and wait. Okay, which player is on the screen right now? My computer is doing the weird thing.
B Dog.
Okay, my computer shows Zach. So let me.
It was Zach. Like you jumped to Zach and then you jumped
Okay, my computer is weird
back.
when I stream on Discord while recording. It like messes with it when I
It's
change too fast.
trippy. But who's next? Who's next?
Aaron, Aaron,
So sad.
I think Aaron. I've talked about this before. Aaron is the perfect kind of person for this kind of cast. Cause on a tribe where you specifically cast people who are pre-merge, yes, there's players like Yellow who should never have gone pre-merge, who you gotta cast. But then there's people who, like, you know why they went, but they had room to grow. And God, has Erin grown in these last few years. And it was so wonderful to watch. She's so much more engaging in confessionals. She's honestly super positive and fun to be around. She's a much better player. Her positioning at points was pretty good. I mean, she was consistently towards the bottom, but episode 1 was very good. She did end up getting into the power structure of her first swap tribe and would have stayed over Danny at the first tribal and maybe would have survived at a second tribal. And then swap, arguably, I would say, I think swap screws are overblown, and I don't think she was swap screwed, but I do think she was put in kind of a hard situation to navigate, and unfortunately, she did play kind of hard, and that led to her getting cut. But yeah, no, Erin is awesome. Super sad to see her go, but I'm also so happy to see how much she has grown in these last few years, and I was awesome to have her back. Aaron and Waddles were both forced boots, and both of them showed so much more capability than they had on their first seasons, and I'm very happy about that.
You know, I was paying such good attention that I totally understood what the fuck happened. I had no idea. Okay, so what I'm looking at is Danny, Kip, Blossom, and Aaron all came from the same second swap tribe.
The same
Fucking
force swap.
fascinating. First swap? Yeah, first swap tribe, thank you. Whoa, that's fucking trippy. And Aaron was like the one in the 4-1 there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, in that instance, integration can be hard and rough,
Especially when
but
she had Yellow, who she was kind of a rival with on original flops.
fucking love that color.
Yellow is my least favorite color on the rainbow.
Bro, orange is like right there.
Orange is okay. Orange and yellow are obviously the worst. I will accept no other answers.
I hope you know least favorite fuzz seasons. Konoha. Soul Society. Romance Dawn. You know why? Cause the merge is orange.
Romance Dawn was red.
Fuck. I think wasn't it planned to be orange? And then that was changed.
one of the original tribes was orange.
Oh my I my so Aaron was a lovely heart that we got to see
Oh my
come
god!
back
Speaking of
and
that,
prove she put the pedal to the metal.
speaking of perfect segue, I feel like that's just the perfect segue into Blossom.
I'm
Blossom
sad about
is
this.
someone who has so much heart and is just such a likable person. And in Soul Society, we saw people kind of take advantage of that or skew it to be something that it wasn't. So it was really nice to be able to see Blossom just like play this season and be super positive and have that work while it did. Blossom was on the top of the game at the very beginning, and while that position did diminish over time, I think Blossom was just enjoyable to have throughout all of that. Um, Super sad to see her go. I feel like she would have had a chance to do pretty well if she had made the merge. And honestly, I feel like she's someone who, if she had a return, she could do well. And I feel that way about the last few people we've talked about. Is I feel like a lot of these people, despite just returning this season, do have promise if they were to get like a third chance one day. But Blossom's kind of like the face of that. I think. I think she's just such a likable presence. Um,
But Chad, I'm so confused what the fuck happened.
yeah. So Blossom, if she pushed for Killza to go home, she would have been fine. But in pushing for Danny, that forced Kip and Yellow's hands into picking between Danny and Blossom, and both Kip and Yellow found themselves significantly closer to Danny. I would argue
Ah.
that Kip should have. Not Yellow, because Yellow and Killza came from flops together, but Kip should have pushed Blossom to push for Killza. But that didn't happen, and Blossom probably wouldn't have pushed for Killza anyway, so I guess it's neither here nor there. But she could have lived if she just did that, but she didn't, and unfortunately, she and Killza voted together, and then, as we saw, Killza went out next.
I mean, yeah, people from Orange Bird seasons stick together.
True.
That's 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 all I gotta say.
I feel
I
like. I
I
think
paid so much attention this pre-merge, 10
yeah,
out of 10.
I think if anyone, any of the pre-mortals listen to this, it would be Blossom. So like, howdy. But with
Hey
that,
Blossom,
a
you
final
slayed.
pre-module for the second time, Killza. Super sad to see him go. Killza, like Blossom
Dude.
and like Aaron, is just such a positive presence. I feel like Killza's presence this season was honestly kind of like the one he had in Soul Society. I feel like same vibe both times. Except they were like both times he was kind of like fourth place in like a solid power structure. But as numbers dwindled, it was hard to really justify keeping him around as those allies got swapped to other tribes and new connections were made. Um, if he had made it to the merge, I feel like it was likely he would probably have been an early boot. In fact, he had been talked about as a possible merge boot by, I believe, Kip and Danny had specifically said that one argument to keep him around is so they could have an easy buffer at the merge vote. But instead, they opted to boot him, which I think was their optimal play. But yeah, it is sad to see him go. He kind of got unlucky by being put on such a disaster tribe. If he had been on the other tribe,
Disaster tribe, but it also was like the cause of Danny for two of the challenges.
it's still a disaster tribe, though, in my opinion.
Hmm. I don't know, because disaster tribe is like a collective
I I I,
thing when this was like
I look at disaster tribes as a completely numerical thing. Like I think last season Nami was a disaster tribe because they lost every challenge they participated in. And then Zoro 2.0 was the same thing where they also lost every challenge. And then this
that
tribe
was
did.
disaster people. Rule of thumb for stuff like that, work on the comps, practice on the comps. I mean, here it was just definitely a thing of like
Danny.
Danny just seems to have like um a busy schedule that he's not able to probably put aside the time and effort to practice the comps and stuff.
Oh,
Which
oh my
happens.
fucking dude! You fucking yawned and it made me yawn. I didn't.
Dude, it's fucking 10 a.m., which is such a hilarious thing to be like, listen, it's early. Yeah, 10 a.m. is fucking. I don't know. I'm just always like I can just be like this in the morning it happens. What was it? I can't remember where, but I'll be in public or whatever,
Mhm.
and I'll be shit. Yeah, I think I was literally
Oh my god.
sitting watching a TED talk of the Assassin's Creed director.
What the fuck?
The director of the Assassin's Creed movie. Yeah, I saw him.
Oh, there's a
And
movie?
yeah.
That shit's gonna be ass.
Oh yeah, it's shit. Um he acknowledges that he had a rough time with it. But I would like be yawning, and it's not this thing of like I'm finding this shit boring, but just for some fucking reason during the day at the hold back a yawn. I
I just yawned.
yawn. But I forget where we were. Send my love to Mr. K. The
Assassin's Creed.
Misters are sobbing. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
depressed.
I'm not gonna lie. I checked and we have been doing this for 40 minutes and we haven't gotten to the fucking ranking yet. So
You know what? You know what? This is the last person.
yeah, perfect segue. We're still not into the ranking yet. Here's
I'm
the
doing
draft for this
so
season.
fucking bad. I've become you.
I feel like you have. I feel like I have the people who are on the worst spots right now, but I
Yeah,
also have my winner pick. So
I'm a fucking genius.
um, I don't have
I
too
made perfect
much.
choices
I don't have
with
too much
yellow
else to
Kip and
touch on
Sachi.
for this, so I'm just gonna move on to I explain this every season. These are my past mid-season power rankings for when I've done them. Using the Smiling Fens one as an example, you have the OG tribes. Well, I put them on the ranking because the way this works is it's least to most likely to win. So Typo was who I deemed the least likely to win. so he was 11th. He ended up getting 6th, which was 5 placements better than I'd expected, so you get this +5 here. And then Bass, for example, I had him at 9th, but he did 2 placements worse than that, so you get that -2. And at the end, I add all these numbers together, and that's where you get this total point difference thing. Basically, I feel like I've done pretty dog shit at this with each season. My winner pick has gone 8th, and 9th. So, like, what the fuck? Uh, the eventual winners I had at 7th, 4th, and 8th. So I don't know what the fuck is up with me recently.
So basically, what you're saying is whoever gets booted here will be your winner pick.
Yep. Did
Oh,
you
or eighth place.
did you make a list?
I did.
Okay. I feel like our first person is gonna be the same, but if it's not, we can laugh about it.
Um, I think it's the same.
Is it Xavier?
Oh no,
Fuck.
no.
Okay.
I'd clasp.
Oh. Got it. No, it was not the same then. Uh.
Is Xavier gonna be booted this round?
Okay. Well, first let's discuss. Do you wanna do? Should we save the clasps discussion till I get to him, or do?
Yeah, we can kind of save it to that. I'll maybe do a little thing, but I feel like we can go more in depth
Yeah. Okay.
there.
So with
But
Xavier, it's not like locked. Coming into this, it was looking like Cat would be the Mulch boot, but now that Cat has the idol, Xavier is kind of the next person who's on the bottom socially, and because of how many advantages he got, minor advantages from the auction, he's seen as a threat. He's not talking to some people. His closest allies are throwing him under the bus for no reason whatsoever. So even if he makes it past this round, I don't see him getting past the next round pretty much no matter what. So, and even if he did, I don't think he's someone who has much of any win equity. He hasn't. He's been like a solid number 2 or 3 on his tribes, but he never really had too much say. It was just that he was connected to power players, mainly Dust, who I will get to much later on. But I don't have too much confidence in Xavier. This merge boot is looking to be Xavier versus Clasped pushing each other with the potential of Cat getting some votes to flush the idol. So I do kind of expect those 3 to be the first few merge boots, with one of the 3 maybe sneaking it a little further, which I'll get into later. But Xavier, I just see no way he doesn't get 8th at best.
hmm. Yeah, I have Xavier at 8. And part of it is because of that war that's going on
Mm-hmm.
between the two of them, where I think it definitely can cause one of them to be booted. But I also have this list as like it's not a boot list, but it's a simple concept of who I believe could win the most and who I could believe could win the least, kind of thing of like say they were at FTC kind of thing. So I think
Mine's kind of the
how
same.
yeah, so I think Xavier is like I put low because it's the same thing as yeah, I think some of that socialness, the prowess that you show, I think it makes it a road where Xavier can be an early boot before they establish the lore of a merged tribe, but also a thing of like he could be brought in across as a goat for someone stronger. And then I have classed at 9 just because I think uh, the way he's approaching the game, if he was to reach the end, it would be maybe more power goat perhaps, or have burned people, or just you just get voted out before that for crashing out, sort of thing.
Yeah, he's kind of Doomer pilled right now. He's been super like negative about his chances.
Never do that. Never manifest it. And sometimes you do that, sometimes it happens, but you know what? If you're listening to me and I tell you don't do it, don't manifest it, and you believe me and you listen to that, then at least one of us two in this in this conversation right now will not do the manifesting. So it's a win, right? This is some jazzy lo-fi I got in my ears. Okay, we got anything else?
No, let's move on to eighth. Who do you think I had at eighth? I think you can get this easy.
Yeah, I think it's Clasp.
It's
It's
not
either that or
actually.
Cat.
It's Cat.
Okay.
Cat coming into this, like I said, would have been the Molge boot, I think. But because she got the Molge
I
idol,
think Cat will be the merge boot.
she could be. Honestly, there is a solid chance because either she's gonna play the idol and save herself, or she's not gonna play it. I don't know if she would go home, but I think she is gonna catch some votes. Either way, I don't think she gets much farther beyond that unless she can really connect with a couple power players. But said power players, like Yellow, like Mason, have already mentioned multiple times not trusting her. So I feel like she's just kind of screwed. But because she got that idol, that's enough for me to put her above Xavier. That's pretty much the only reason why she is. Um, yeah.
My thought is though with this Clasp versus Xavier battle, my thought is they could fight between each other, and I think I saw some people maybe consider being like they want to vote out Cat. So my thought was maybe they would try and blindside Cat into some sort of 4 to 3 to 2 mana, which is how Cat would come ninth place. Cat could maybe win immunity here because I feel like um, she mentioned loving slide puzzles and being really good at slide puzzles. To which I remember going back to Luigi's Mansion where she had practiced and needed to. I don't know about her skill level in Luigi's Mansion for slide puzzle, but she was practicing them with Rai before fire making because she thought it might be fire making and she needed to practice on them. And I think it's a thing where over time, like, Kat will know that we have the fuzzle of death and shit, and she knows what she's going to be walking into, so she could definitely have prepared and practiced for this to win, and then doesn't need to use the idol yet.
I think Kip might win the Fuzzle of Death. Fuck! I hate calling it Fuzzle. I think it's so stupid. The Puzzle of
You
Death.
say puzzle of death, yeah, the Fuzzvivor puzzle of death.
Yeah, the
It's a
Fuzz.
funny pun
I
though.
gotta use the entire government name. But yeah, I think Kip wins it.
Cooper Fuzzvivor.
Yes, that is legally my last name. Uh,
Yeah, I can see Cat being 'cause I think even then if Cat was to survive through all this, it would be a hard road to get to the end.
uh-huh. Okay. You know who my seventh is. Come on, you know who it is.
Clasp,
Yup.
there it is.
Um, why I have more faith in Clasped is that despite him kind of crashing out recently, despite him losing his vote, despite him being targeted by Xavier, he
Oh yeah, I
does
forgot about the vote.
he does have very good connections to the likes of Mason, Dust, and now Yellow. The biggest power players in the game want to work with him, and I think that alone is enough to get him by. Um, I do think a likely thing for him would be that he'll be taken out as a means to weaken Mason and Dust. Probably like Sachi will find a way to idle him out or something, or Yellow. Someone will try and take him out to diminish the power of other people. I don't think he's going to get much power, and like you talked about earlier, if he makes it fall, he probably is some sort of GOAT. Or not even I wouldn't say a GOAT, but I don't really see him winning at this point. Not for the reasons he doesn't think he'll win. I just feel like a lot of people have really controlled the flow of this game, and he just hasn't been one of those people. But I don't know. I have more faith in him than you do. Coming into this, the power ranking at the end of episode 9, I had him at 6th. So the person I had at 7th has moved up. So, yay. Uh, you've already talked about Clasp, and I don't have too much else to add. So, I will say
Yeah. Um
he is good at comps, so I could see him win a comp or two.
yeah. Did I say who my seventh was?
No, what? Oh, no. It's
My seventh was Cat.
yeah, okay, you might have said that.
So seven Cat, eight Xavier, nine Class. So we have the same three, just interchanged.
Okay, so who's your sixth?
My sixth is Danny.
My sixth is Kip.
Damn, what
Kip,
the fuck, bro?
as I just talked about,
That's my guy.
Kip was who I had at seventh coming into this with the power ranking, but now he's sixth. Most of that is because the likes of Dust, Mason, had discussed him as a big threat going into the merge, but now that we're here and targets have been placed on other people, Kip has done a pretty good job integrating himself socially. He's got himself very close to Clasped. Yellow will defend him. So I feel like he can establish himself as a free agent, as he always does. And if we see someone like Clasped taken out by Yellow, Sachi, those people, to weaken the other most powerful players, Kip would be a valuable number in doing so. I don't see him getting past the early endgame. I think he kind of peaks at 6th or 5th place. I feel like he's probably getting 6th or 7th, thankfully. But he has a good story. He's gone to a lot of tribals. He's been in a good spot. He had some mounds that were shaky, and I don't love some of the moves he's made up to this point, but he's always recovered. And right now, he has some really good connections. I forgot to mention one of them, which is Danny. Danny and Kip are super close, so that should get Kip through these first few rounds that I previously thought he would struggle with.
That's just how Kip rolls. I had Danny because I felt like Danny's a very chill, relaxed player, but I felt like seeing him this season, he's just been too chilled and too relaxed. That I'm like, you at some point you kind of need to put it into gear and get the ball rolling, and it definitely can change with when you get into merge and how you play, and it can massively switch up. You can massively lock in. But I think of what I sort of have seen through the pre-merge, which is not the best thoughts. Cooper will have the best thoughts, but
Yep.
my thought is just like say looking at his comps and stuff and looking just seeing this sort of approach, he just kind of seems like he's very chilled out, and I don't think that you can like this seems more something you would just have as like a chill, maybe you would be like second to like a big threat kind of thing, and the big threat beats you kind of thing. um I don't know how to conclude the thoughts.
No,
It
that
just
is a
seems
concern I
that
have
he's
about
very
Danny.
laid back, and you need to put the pedal to the metal in the game. Maybe he can change it, but he kind of reminds me of his
Olympus game.
Olympus.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
it. Okay. I don't think we're going to have the same 5th place.
Yeah. Yeah, we aren't. There was no way we were gonna have the same fifth place. You know why?
Why?
Because your sixth place is my
Ah,
fifth
okay.
place.
My 5th place is Sachi.
No.
Um, I think Sachi's position has gotten better recently because Sachi was really able to lock down with Yellow. Sachi got Yellow to confess that she has the flops idol to him. Meanwhile, Sachi has not told her that he has the favorites idol. He has considered doing so, but as of now, he has not yet. But my worry of Sachi is that he's just seen as a threat by pretty much everyone. I see there's I don't see any way he makes it to the end. I think he's someone who's going to be used in big moves and he's going to be a big threat and super loved. But I just don't see him being able to minimize his threat level enough while also working with the right people to actually get him to that point. I think, unfortunately for him, there's just people who are integrated in the power structure better. And even if he dismantles that, it's just going to make his threat level even bigger. So, similar to Mementos, I just don't see him getting past 5th or 6th place. Probably 5th, because he does have the idol. But, yeah. I would love to see Sachi go farther, but I just don't see any way this man makes it to the end.
Uh, yeah, I think that's very thought out logic. As like there are some plays that are like if they get to the end, they could win, but it's like there's no way people are letting them get to the end. Um, I put Kip at 5. I don't know why. Um, I'm so good at paying attention this season, so I totally know what's going on. I thought Kip just has this thing of like he's got good head on his shoulders kind of logic, and I think in this instance of say if every threat was to eat each other alive, Kip would have like a level-headed shoulders where people maybe don't view him too much as a massive threat and stuff. He'd be able to do calculated moves, and he'd be able to win. So logically, Kip should be higher in that actuality for me, based on the logic of someone like Sachi that like could win at the end, but needs to get to the end. Kip is someone where I'm like they could get to the end and could win. They just need to get those other people out. Um,
It's
but
also
imagine
funny
at
that you
fifth.
put Kip at fifth because he got fifth in season 2 and season 6.
Yeah, it's manifesting. It's like a magic trick.
If we have a 3-time fifth placer, that would be so fucking funny.
Yeah, I want this is to the random person who decided to watch Focus, the movie last night with Will Smith and Margot Robbie. And all I'm gonna say is 55. I've never seen the movie. I've seen that one clip. I think if I remember correctly, 55. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. Guess who I guess who I have at
You'll
fourth?
watch the movie one day, you'll see it, and you'll be like, "Holy
Holy
shit!"
shit!
Um, who you have at number 4? I think Danny.
Yeah, I got. Oh, my computer did the weird thing. I do have Danny at fourth.
It still looks at it's on fourth place for me,
Yeah. Okay.
so it
Cool.
seems good.
Yeah, I have Danny at fourth. Um.
I have Dust.
Okay, I think that's fair. Here's my thing with Danny, and it's actually kind of the thing you had, is that I think it's very likely Danny could be an FTC loser. I think either him or this next person is going to be the FTC loser to one of the people in the top two. I just feel like with how the game is going right now, these top four all seem pretty. I feel like these top four are all like gonna make the final five for sure. I could eat my words and I probably will, but I feel so confident in all of these top four making it very far. Danny is just at the bottom of that power structure, but he's the least threatening of said power structure, so I do feel like he will be taken to the end. Um, Either he's taken to the end, like I said, and doesn't win, or he tries to make moves around like 6 or so and then gets cut at fourth, similar to what we saw happen in Olympus. Uh, Preseason, I had Danny as my winner pick and Mason as my runner up. Well, now Danny's my runner up and my winner's between Mason and Yellow. So, yeah, I think Danny's either second or fourth place, something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I know who your third is then.
Hmm.
Um, but 4 I have Dust. I think it's really just this thing of like let's say some of them like Dust, Kip, Danny, I would all group into this territory of like, I need 2 or 3, which is kind of shitty because it's merged of Final Nine now. So let's be fair. I need these next 2 rounds to kind of cross the trajectory of these plays, and with Dust, I think I'm. He seems to be going well, but I also need to see how he plays the start of the merge to see if he fully has the lock-in thing or not. Because there's some players yeah, I thought Dust was third. Um, there's some players that they kind of have that easy lock-in, like the 1 and 2 that we both have. Because we have the same 1 and 2. You look at them now and you know, oh, these players have been playing very tip-top shape in the pre-merge and possibly can continue in the merge. This is the thing where I think it's like Dust has been playing well. It really just comes down to, say, getting the 1 to 2 out, keeping control of people, and making the right moves and convincing people to vote for you at the end. And I need these few rounds to fully confirm it for me with Dust.
Yeah, I think Dust has played a great game, much better than I would have expected, and I don't mean that as a jab. I mean to say that I think Dust has played a better pre-merge game than any of our recent winners have done in the pre-merge. So take that as what you will. I think Dust has done a great job. Um, honestly, could
Take
have.
that, Rye.
Okay, that is not
Eat.
a recent winner.
Rye is a fuck. Is it 5 years ago?
That shit was
5 years ago
16
winner.
seasons ago.
Yeah, dude, we old.
Um, Dust, I have the same thing. Well, I feel like it's very, very, very likely that he's gonna be our second placer to Mason or Yellow. Same reasons as I had for Danny. I just think Dust, because of like how passionate he is about the series, that could maybe like help a bit. And also, he's just better positioned than Danny. I feel like he's going to give a super impassioned pitch at the end if he makes it there. We'll just see if that's enough to stack up to the players who I feel like he'll ultimately kind of play second fiddle to.
Yeah, I can see that. I have Sachi at number 3. Um, I don't know why. I think it was this logic of like the same thing as the top 3. I'm like, these people I think could win if they reach the end. And then for some reason with Sachi, I think I was maybe like, this is the person that, yeah, I can see the energy of like, yeah, he would be an end game boot kind of person. The other two, I believe, would be able to maneuver through the end game. Sachi just gives this energy of like, the term like always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing,
Yeah,
where Sachi's like
definitely.
always the end game is always a threat, but gets stuck in the end game boots kind of thing. And scene.
End scene. Okay. Do we have the same top two? I think I know who your
Yeah,
number.
yeah, we
No,
have
no,
the
I
same
mean,
top 2.
is my
Oh,
second the
you
same?
have, okay.
I don't think it. I think
No,
also.
because I think you mentioned earlier something about switching 2 people around,
I.
and
Wait. Who's your number two?
well, who's my number 1 should be very obvious.
It's Yellow, right? Is your number one?
Yeah.
Okay, my number two is Yellow.
Yeah, because you said you had Danny as your 1 and like Mason as your 2, and then you switched it around. So I'm like, okay, so Mason is your number 1 for
Yeah.
this.
Uh, Yellow. Here's why. Yellow is just more of an obvious threat than Mason. She does have the idol, which will obviously be huge, and she knows she's close to Sachi, who has an idol, and she's so well positioned and she's so good socially. I just feel like she's destined for fourth place or third place as the final draw. I don't think anyone will let her get to the end. While with Mason, who I think has played not as good but still very good, he is more likely to actually make it to the end. And that's really all it comes down to. I think Yellow is probably going to be player of the season. She's already gotten 3 player of the episodes, which stacks up to Mason's 1. I just struggle to see her making it to the end if she's not able to win final immunity. Um, because like Mason has Danny, who is like, even if Danny and Yellow say they trust each other more than Danny says he trusts Mason, Danny and Mason are also very close friends, and I think that when push comes to shove, those two are just gonna work together. Like this top four is our final four, I think, and it's gonna be Danny, Dust, and Mason saying, "Okay, we gotta get Yellow out before she makes it to the end and beats all of us," because she would. So that's where I stand on Yellow.
Yeah. Um, I'm a Yellow defender till I die. So Yellow's gotta be number 1, but I also think I think she has it all. She's got the good social, good strategy, and I think has good physical leg up that she can do it. I don't know Mason's say physical ability. I think it does partially come down to that. I think in the instance with Yellow, she should admittedly just start getting rid of people that are good at comps. which is definitely easier said than done. It is fully fucking easier said than done because that shit is hard. Maybe I'm just ass at the game, but it's also like, I mean, think of say, I think, what was it? Um, we had this discussion during this season. Me and Kat were in VC, and drop quotes was brought up, which was Final Five Immunity Challenge in Luigi's Mansion. She mentioned she did it and she thought she did really well and then lost the comp. And when I did the drop quotes for that, I thought I fucking lost. I think I thought I was doomed. I wasn't gonna win immunity. I thought I knew that Rai was good at drop quotes. I fully fucking forget, but then she just didn't do the comp, so we'll never know how fast she did
My
it.
winner.
But what?
So I keep going.
Well, I so I won that comp, and I forget where I'm going with that. But no, okay, where I'm going with that is that I won 7 of the 9 immunity challenges, and I say a large portion of that was because of the comparability of the cast, but a major one was that Nerf got booted at 9th place, who I think would have been my other competitor. And it's just that simple thing of if you can get those people booted and stuff, then it's done so. And I think Yellow does have good cleverness and care for, like, she has this meticulous physical ability where I feel like her approach to it is very smart, that she could possibly comp out. I
You're winning me
want to
over,
see a
kinda.
Yellow win. Yeah, I
I feel
think
like
even then
if
I think Mason was like the 4th placer, and I'd say this is this logic of think about who would win
yeah, no, I
season
think
trivia
when
between
you look
Yellow
at
and
trivia,
Mason.
I would think yellow would win trivia.
Yeah. So I think that is one of the most um hilariously one of the most important things to consider is who would win between them. I think Yellow only went to a fuck ton of tribal councils,
Only a fuck
not
ton.
because of her compatibility at all. I myself have been to tons and tons of pre-merge fucking tribal councils despite being good at comps and doing well in them, and it's sometimes it just happens, but also can just be other people in your tribe kind of thing because it really is like a collective moment at times. And I think Yellow just was never able to constantly be on a collective tribe that really was able to go for it because 3 people on her tribe for the slide puzzles. They well, you see what happened is they all picked door number 1. And a little thing about puzzle betting, that comp that I made, I always try and make, yeah, this isn't perfect. I always try and make the 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 challenge with the least points and the one with the most points hard and easy as fuck, where some people can trick themselves into believing that they can do it, but it's like you really need to be very fucking good at it and very lucky to get it. When I think your best instance is if you are good at something, you go for the second best one. If you are a fucking god at it, go for the best one. But if you would just say good, then you don't. And that tribe just kind of all took the throw of that. But yeah, where was I going with that? Is that I do not know if this is accurate because my attention, as I say over and over, has not been fully locked in. But I think Yellow is good at comps. I think she's good at social. I think she's strategic. She has an idol. And so I think she can win. And in the end, one of Mason or Yellow could win, and we don't even know what the reason will be that one gets the leg up over the other, perhaps. But this is us trying to figure out what could be why.
Yeah.
And my favorite color is pastel yellow.
Okay, that's fucking weird. Number one for me is
What
Mason.
the fuck?
But honestly, you're kind of selling me to maybe like I can't change my mind and say, oh, Mason's number
I
two
think
now
they're
for sure.
indifferent, to be honest.
Um, I feel like one way to look at it is I could see a way where Mason could end up as the second placer. Yellow is not losing final tribal in any scenario ever. Either way, the reason why I had Mason above Yellow is because I just feel like Mason isn't as big of a threat. He has good relationships to be taken to the end. Um, he's just not as big of a threat as Yellow is, while still being like playing about as good. That's pretty much all it comes down to. I think his super tight connections to Dust and Danny, that final three just makes all the sense in the world to me. Well, yeah. I don't have much else to say. Mason was like the number one person I wanted on Legends who didn't. He dropped out of it, so I'm so happy to see him back these few seasons later, and I'm so happy to see him do well. It's kind of funny that the Favorites tribe basically was like Legends people who didn't quite make it on, or they dropped, or they didn't apply but were contacted. So it's very funny to see all of them here. But yeah, I genuinely don't have anything else to say. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think I said what I said. It's just the same thing. It's like Mason seems like a good leg up. Him and Yellow are just parallel.
Yeah.
I think they would both make great winners. I think they both could win. It's just about seeing if they pull each other down, help each other side by side. Who knows? But they've got good odds. Um, but yeah, my favorite color is pastel yellow.
So here's what the fine. This is what the chart like I showed at the beginning of like the chart, where you could see like one, two, three, all that junk. I just threw it together here. It doesn't matter, but here it is. And then I don't know. This is what we're doing next. FTC scenarios. We're gonna do it before the finale. So that's 5 people, I believe, taking combinations of two. I think that's 10 different combinations where you gotta say who we think wins, something like that. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Um, I have a billion things I said I would do and haven't done, so I'm not gonna say when they're gonna happen because I haven't done any of them yet. So maybe they'll happen eventually. But otherwise, I think we're about done here. Unless you have anything else to add.
Wahoo! Um, I watched two movies yesterday in the
That's
cinema.
fucking
One
awesome.
was one was that I had it planned to be today, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is today, and I was like, let me just go there. And then I have a haircut in like an hour that I only found out about this morning, and I'm like, that would have fucked up everything. Anyways, I saw Elio.
Oh
Um,
yeah, how was
it
that?
I said in my review, it feels like a Gareth Edwards movie,
Who the fuck
which
is that?
yeah, it's such an inside baseball thing that makes zero sense to anyone aside from me because it's like you've come up with the reason in your own head. So Gareth Edwards, he directed 2014 Godzilla, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, and 2023's The Creator. He is also the director for the new Jurassic World that's about to come out. But one thing that I've noticed from those three movies watching, and it's a hilarious joke I like to make with a mate where we talk about Rogue One is a very good 40-minute Star Wars short where what I mean by that is Garrett Edwards' third acts for his movies are really, really fucking good. And then it can vary for everyone else between how the first two acts are. And I thought Elio's third act was really, really, really fucking good. And the first two are kind of were run of the mill for me. Then I also saw 28 days later, 28 years later. I hadn't seen the prior ones, but I heard good reception for this one, so I was just like, oh, let me see what it's about. It's very fascinating.
I played Splatoon.
Dude, fuck, I think you win this.
Yeah, I'm the cool. We need to do a Splatoon season, honestly.
Um, Splatoon. Okay, Fuzzvivor season 27. Moray Towers. Oh wait, no, this is season 20.
We also already have themes for 28, 29, and 30.
Is Do I know what 29 is or?
Yes, you know what 29 is. You were there last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that no, that's not a bit. We're doing it. We're doing that season. It's happening.
Okay, okay. We uh, as we were like brainstorming a bunch of in hosting and I wasn't sure if there was some reality in it or not. There's one that I really want to do though that like I was saying was the one I was continuously joking on. Um but that's but anyways, Moray Towers, let's go.
Let's fucking go. Okay, I think that's where we end it. So I'm gonna, end it. Okay.
Goodbye.
Say something funny.
Okay, bye. I love you.